Hi to the best baseball team and fans. Long time no see. This is So Taguchi. I really wanted to be there today, but our spring training is just around the corner. I become a minor league manager from this year. Please throw a party like this next time I'm in the States. Please. Anyway, congratulations to all of us. For me, being a history of the Cardinals is the best part of my life. Thank you, everybody in St. Louis. Even though I'm here in Japan, my heart is always be with the Cardinals team. Have a good one today. English.
So the teammate, Soup. I mean, that was what a story he was, and a huge part of that series against the Mets.
Oh, he was. He was a legend. So was my locker mate. We had all pitchers, and then So was right next to us. Watashi wa ongaku skitas. No. So didn't teach me that, but I do know a little Japanese now. But no, he was a great guy, great teammate, and he really just. How old was So at that time?
50.
But he looked like he's so young too.
Looks
but
the same right now.
He does. But he was a great player.
It was funny. I went to Japan this summer with Team USA, and I turned on the TV, and there's So on television as one of the commentators. So it was like he's huge over there.
Yeah, he was with us at the World Series in 2013 at Fenway Park, and Mike Matheny. Here's the Hall of Famer Tony La Russa, ladies and gentlemen.
Mo said
Announce
it.
your presence with authority.
And Mike Matheny is discussing things with him just to look back on those teams. What special moments. Jim Edmonds, David Eckstein, Jeff Suppan, and Tony La Russa. And Tony, yes.
Can I tell you what happened?
Yes.
I was feeling great, and all of a sudden my stomach got upset.
Because you knew you had to sit next to me.
No. Because I realized for the first time that Izzy was Adam's mentor. And now you know the rest of the story. Because that walk that lowered the bases, Izzy did that all the time. He'd get 2 outs with nobody on, and he'd get 2 or 3 guys on base and just look at me suffer and with that big smile and say, hey, what are you worried about? I'm going to get him. And now I know that Adam walked him on purpose just to get to Izzy's situation.
Tony, did the team feel like it was disrespected heading into the postseason with 83 wins and a lot of people saying, oh, well, they backed in?
If people were paying attention, we got to September, we had a 6-game lead. Well, we were really beat up. And the fact is, 83 wins is a record low. But I tell you what we thought. When we showed up in San Diego and we put our lineup out there, they were all back. And the team that played against San Diego was the same team that had the 6-game lead in September. Eck was there, Jimmy was there, Albert was there, Scott. It was just a really good team. So, we got in the last day of the year and it got scary, but we got healthy.
So many players that we could touch on, and we will, but I want you to talk about the 3 that are sitting to your right, starting with Jeff Suppan in your rotation.
You think about the games that he pitched, Game 7 against Houston in 2004, beat Clemens. Game 7 against the Mets. He was a big game pitcher. I think he worked really well with Dave Duncan. David. Well, the 2015 club demonstrated you're not productive as a team or a pitcher or player unless you really are tough. Everybody in the baseball that gets signs has talent. If you want to get to where you win division, you get to October, you got to be really tough as a team, as an individual. And I knew that for years. And then we got David on our ball club in 2005. And from there to the end of my career, if we had our own coaching awards, and we always had a toughness award, we named that thing the David Eckstein Award. I asked him where his motivation come from, and he told me about his history, where he walked on to high school, college, and signed with the everybody said, can't play, can't play, can't play. And then I thought about it, you know, and, I mean, there are 12-year-old kids that throw the ball better than he does, can hit the ball farther and run faster, and are taller, as Jim's right. But he's the toughest, most competitive, winning teammate, champion player that, well, he's tied for first for the very best I've ever been around. And then there's, Jim is a son I never had. You know, you take turns embracing him and wanting to strangle him. Talk about big game. Jim embraced the big moment. Was such a clutch guy. I think the only thing was that, you know, Jimmy's got a lot going on up here. And he would get distracted. You know, I think he would get, maybe he drove down the street and saw a car that he didn't have, and he was thinking about buying it. And next thing, he's just playing center field, and who are we playing against? Who's the scorer? But when he concentrated, which was when we needed him. So I'm going to tell you my favorite Jim Edmonds story. Because I saw him towards the end of my American League time. Great athlete, talk about talent. Walt Jocketty trades for him when he comes to spring training. True story. First game we play, we're playing in Jupiter. When you play at home, defensively, I would sit in the bench next to Dunk and then go in the dugout when we hit. So the top of the first inning, with 2 strikes, we have a right-hand pitcher. And say it's Carp. And
It wasn't Carp, but because he didn't miss his pitches.
okay, I know it. I was just... Okay, my son.
Carp might.
Okay, my baby boy.
I'm just trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your life in case Carp is listening.
No, let me tell you. When I tell this story, and I tell it about Carp like he's the guy, because he has a tendency to think he's really, really good. But anyway, there's an 0-2 count. The ball gets hit, the right-hand hitter ball gets hit to left center. And Jimmy misses it by this much. This is the first inning he plays for us. So I'm sitting there, and, you know, next guy gets out. Jim comes over to the bench, and he asks Dave and Tony, hey, the Soup, is that better? Okay. When Soup has 0-2, does he hang that slider? Why are you asking that, Jim? And Dunk looks at me, uh-oh. He says, because when he got the 0-2 count and he saw a slider, he started drifting towards right field because that ball's going to be out here if he hits it. And so he said, no, he usually makes that pitch. As he walked in, I told Dave, I says, we got ourselves a center fielder. When you pay that kind of attention. So when you see all those great jumps he got over the years, this is not accidental. It wasn't just talent. He was a craftsman out there. He paid attention, took pride in his defense, and he also took pride in the rest of his game. He's also a great teammate. They were talking about, some of the 215 guys are talking about the feeling on the ball club. Jim is a guy that cared as much for any of his teammates as anybody we had.
Jim, tell us about your father figure, Tony La Russa. How was that season for you with this man at the helm?
Tony had a tough job that year, and as of every year, I think the manager's job is ridiculously tough. But you know, it's hard when you have a team. I think when you go into spring training and you throw your 25 guys out there, and you end up with playing with 32 and 33, 34 guys, and it's hard to manage that way. And I think he did a great job. He did a great job every year. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. So it's no secret, and it was a lot of fun.
And David, at the same time, you have to have fun playing the game, and you had a lot of fun playing it. But you do have to, in a long grind of a season, find a way to keep it light and keep it going, don't you?
Definitely. In this type of a season, you definitely have to find the humor of it. And I think we had a bunch of the guys on this club that kind of kept it lighthearted. But the most important thing, when we stepped between the lines, it was all business. And I hear this all the time. You watch all these TV shows and, I mean, these sports reporters, and they're like, oh, the guys just have to have fun. I can promise you this, it's no fun losing. All right? So I've never seen a team that loses every single game and go, oh, I'm having a lot of fun. So the best way to have fun is actually winning. So that's why that down the stretch, it was kind of tough for us because you see our guys, we're winners. I hate to say it, but we are winners. And when we were going through that stretch, to be able to get to that final game, to be able to get in the playoffs, once we got in, it was something of we took a deep breath, and it was time to go because we knew we were a good club.
What a group it was, Soup. I mean, that rotation, tough as nails too, wasn't it?
Think it wasn't?
I think it was.
Dunk's obviously not here tonight, but just the confidence that he gave everybody. It didn't matter if you're a medium speed right-hander like myself, or a Cy Young Award winner, or Izzy in the bullpen. He was able to instill confidence in all of us. And you know what also instilled confidence in all of us? All the Golden Glovers behind us. Okay, these guys were unbelievable, even when they were hurt. It was funny when Scott made that error. He was like, "Sorry, Soup." I'm like, "No worries," He had picked me up so many times. I had to give him a wink every time I was coming inside because he'd have to get a rocket right at him, And then every time, I would throw a changeup, I'd leave my mouth open just so he knew because, that was a really hard one. Okay, so that's that's what happens when you're a medium speed right-handed pitcher. They hit rockets off you, You just got to keep the ball down though. But we were tight. I mean, it didn't matter, if it was Carp or Jason Marquis or Mark Mulder. We were together, and I never really experienced that with any other starting rotation.
Albert Pujols was on your team. The impact that Albert Pujols had just stepping out on the field for your club.
Albert was so productive every year in all situations. He had great April through Septembers. He was a great October player. And here's the other thing. Here, two things. Spring training, anybody joined our club and they want to know about Albert, work with him, he'd work with him. But my favorite thing is, and you don't see this all the time, Albert, rarely, he'd be 0 for 4 and the score be tied, and you look at him, he's on the top set, but he's cheerleading. He was always about winning the game, and whatever the numbers were, they were, and whatever the money would be, it would be. But he always was a teammate trying to win a game.
Winning that World Series, in many people's minds, cemented your Hall of Fame legacy. You are now a world champion in each league, the only one to do it since, and only one other than Sparky Anderson. But it also puts you in the Cardinals club, so to speak. Can you tell the story of after you win the World Championship and you had a special guest in your office?
This is the St. Louis Cardinals. There is a World Championship club. And if you're around long enough, the only way you get in that club is to win a World Championship. You can't go to the National League. You can't be National League pennant winners and not win. So, we got there 3 times and lost, got to a World Series. So that we won that World Series, and, you're celebrating. Gibson walks by, shakes my hand, says, "Congratulations, you're now in the club." And first to admit, I got big goose pimples, got tears in my eyes, because if you play for the Cardinals, fellas, you got to get a World Series while you're in uniform.
Jim, I wanted to get your thoughts on that moment as well. It's something that I asked Brad, the understanding of what that meant, because for the fans, it had been a wait since 1982, and the feeling in Game 5, the noise when Brandon Inge struck out was tremendous, but it was a powerful moment for those fans and people watching and listening at home and generations of fans. Did you feel that as a player?
Yeah, you feel it. I think you feel it the first week you step into the city and start playing. I remember in 2000, I was sitting down having lunch, and there was like an 18-year-old waitress walked up to me and said, "That was a tough loss last night." And it was like the first week of the season. I went, "Whoa." Like, if I was in Anaheim, they'd have been like, "Hey, surf's up, huh?" So it kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and I said, "Oh, I'm got my hands full with this city."
Just for the rest of your life, you're a world champion. You'll be celebrated in 2026 and 2036, and we'll be talking about that team. For just your thinking back at 2006 and what this means for you as an individual, each of you.
Well, to be honest with you, I never thought about winning a World Series till I came here. And I realized, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. And I'm sure happy that I won a World Series here in St. Louis and all my teammates. It was very special, and it's definitely a treasure in my baseball career. So thank you.
Especially for me, it was truly a blessing to have the opportunity to come here. First and foremost, everything that had gone on with my family, and from day one, especially with my father at that time going through a kidney transplant in 2005, coming in, and you guys basically accepted myself, but my whole family, like in open arms. So many times I would show up at the park just telling me how you're praying for my family and all their well wishes. And that doesn't happen everywhere, I promise you. And it's a different, these guys, especially these young guys over here that are making your ways up. It's different here, I promise you. It's not like this everywhere else. You better enjoy the time you have right now and try to do the best you can.
Just one thing that I'd like to, in my 2 cents with is this. I asked Rick and Derek the last couple of days, who's going to be here? And I saw who's coming and really pleased, the relievers that were here before, the group that's sitting up here now. But my number one feeling coming to the dinner tonight was who's not here. And I wanted to be sure that they get mentioned. We had a great coaching staff. The third base coach that's still here is one of the greatest baseball men of all time. Had an excellent hitting coach with Hal McRae, who's a proven winner. First base coach is as great a professional as you could possibly have, Dave McKay. The pitching was taken care of by a wonderful bullpen coach named Marty Mason, a treasure. And the greatest pitching coach in the history of the game, Dave Duncan. For example, we made a move to get Jeff Weaver here. Jeff Weaver pitched lights out towards the end of the season, surprised a lot of people. It didn't surprise Dunk. He just tweaked here, tweaked there, and he pitches game 5, pitches 8 innings, turns it over to Waino. So I think about, I wish, we're a team. We're a family. To do this thing correctly, they should all be here. The coaches should be here. The rest of the players should be Albert, Yadi, Preston Wilson, Scott Spezio. Remember Scott? And the other guy that's not here, that I was with last night, that I want to make sure is not forgotten, because he was here in '96, and then he's instrumental in putting this thing together, starting the winter of '99. It started the 2000 to 2015 run of wins, and that was our general manager, Walt Jocketty.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Jeff Suppan. David Eckstein. Jim Edmonds. And Tony La Russa, the 2006 World Champions.